Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Non-Classics. This is episode number 1777 and Doubleshot number 1671. Got one image trade, one DC trade. First up it is Spawn, Origins Collection, Volume, this is Volume 8. This collect issues 45 to 50. Yeah, like the last trade where I collected 7 issues, went back to 6 again. Yep. Mostly proof of these issues we get, like, the big thing with these ones is that we get Terry Fitzgerald's character development here. Where we also return of Consigliere. First time he's appeared in the book in quite a while. Probably not since his debut. But before we get to any of that stuff, first thing we see in the book is Angela. Yes, Angela still appears in this book. Fights various people. She doesn't do a lot of fighting. That's all she does. It's like McFarlane's got nothing really for her to do. Yes, McFarlane is to the writer, with Greg Polo and Tony S. Daniel in the artwork. Yes, if you're curious, what issues of this book does Tony S. Daniel do? 46, 48, and that's it. All the rest is all Greg Polo. So I'm thinking, let me get this straight. 2 out of the 6 issues in this book basically are working on by Tony S. Daniel, everything else by Greg Polo. Yep, that's definitely the case. Now, in the case of what's going on with Consigliere, he pretty much is convincing Spawn to get his power back, and also they finally get rid of those shoelaces that have been tied to his face, so that make it consistently drawn in the book. And thanks to basically getting his power back, he's able to fix his face somewhat. It's still burnt, but got rid of the stupid slice that was in his face for quite a while. Yep. And in the case of Terry Fitzgerald, yeah, apparently he's working late nights, he's been blacking out, and it turns out the reason why he's blacking out because apparently he's got a big, humongous tumor on his brain. Which, of course, basically needed to operate, but then, of course, you have Spawn, who's like, I could save him, but I don't want to because he's with my wife. So he leaves, and then he regrets the decision, and of course we have Terry pretty much falling into a coma. Yes, a coma, just like that. Then Spawn comes in, heals him. Yes, Spawn heals him. Probably because he does not like Wanda very unhappy and Cyan basically sad. So, gets rid of that stuff, and then of course... Oh, but by the way, we have this 2 interesting scenes in here, of 2 very similar scenes. Like, of a doctor who's pretty much Terry's position. We first see Wanda in her underwear. Yes, for some reason McFarlane demanded we had to have this. Basically, an examination of Wanda. Well, Wanda is in her underwear with her daughter standing right there. And then we have Terry in his underwear too. I guess that he probably felt as though, gotta have both. Now, was this necessary to do? No, I get the fact Wanda is a very beautiful woman. Was it seem very necessary? Kind of, you could say. Mainly just to bit of character stuff for Wanda, but not much for her to do. Cyan, of course, is an adorable little girl at this point, though currently in the book she's I believe in the last several years, I think they aged her up now where she's no longer a little kid like she is here. Of course, this is basically recent stuff. She's basically about 20-ish right now, and she's suffering from some very bad mental problems. And Wanda, currently in the comics, is no longer alive. This, of course, is in recent stuff. Here, she's alive and well. And after Terry is healed, he had doctors examine her, and of course, basically, like, they're perfectly fine. And that was explained, of course, of a 2-part 50th issue of the series. Yep. Definitely seems like we're going forward with this. Also, there's stuff going on here with Clown, where he, as a clown, also his demon personality is in here too, where he attends a party. Or basically, he's a birthday clown. Yes, seriously, he's doing that in here. Pretty good stuff here, and I'm still enjoying reviewing this series. I'm going to give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Next up is a book that, who would have thought basically DC would do this again for this character? We have Robin Volume 1, The Lazarus Tournament. Now, Couple of fun facts of this one. Actually, 3 fun facts. First off, this is Damian, not Tim Drake in the Robin costume. Of course, he's been Robin since like 2009. Yes. Now, as for him having a solo book, this actually is the first time since 2015 that he actually got one. Yes, believe it or not, actually no, it wasn't 2015. It was actually 2016. So if the tennis book came out, it's been 5 years since he has on solo book. Yep. Overall, this is his 3rd ever solo book he's ever had. The first one was an alternate timeline book called Damian's and Robin, and he had the Robin and Batman series, which was really good. Had 2 writers with it. First was written and drawn by Patrick Gleason, which was, of course, was really good. And the other writer was Ray Fox, and this is actually a 3rd book for that. Also, there's one other fun factor about this book. This is actually the very first Just Robin book published since 2009. That's not a joke. This actually is the first one published since then. So the Descendants came out, it's been 12 years since there's been a Robin solo book. 12 years. Now, of course, some people really wanted Tim Drake to have this book, but Damian's the current Robin, so basically deal with that. We have Damian reunite with his mother, the beautiful Talia al Ghul. Yep. Where he has basically had some bad disagreements with Batman. I'm glad the fact they brought that up. And of course, basically, he's learned about another section of the League, per se. You have League of Shadows, which basically was introduced in the pages of James Tynion's run for Detective Comics. You have the League of Assassins, which of course is a group he's associated with, and the League of Lazarus. The League of Lazarus was another thing that Rod set up that he basically regrets saying in the first place. They build him against him early on, and then he finds up a death tournament. Yes, basically a Mortal Kombat style tournament. And we're introduced to a boatload of characters, a lot of whom are, get this, creations of Chuck Dixon. Yes, apparently Josh Williamson, he must have been a big fan of Chuck Dixon's run because we have a boatload of characters in these issues alone who are creations of Chuck Dixon during his time working on both Robin and Nite-Wing. But this book contains the first 6 issues of the 3rd volume for Robin, along with basically the prelude story from Batman 106 and Comics 1034. Joshua Williamson himself is the writer of all the stuff in here. Everything in this book is written by him. The artwork is done by 2 people, Gabe Millock and Jorge Corina. And of course, Gabe is basically doing the cover artwork. Now, I should point something about the costume. This actually is Damian's first new costume he's actually had in years. Like, at the time this came out, like prior to this book coming out, he actually was sporting a costume at this point in time. Yes, with Rebirth, they gave him a brand new costume, and he wore that costume for about 5 years. And then he stopped wearing it. Of course, they do. And here's the thing, they actually reference his time with the Teen Titans. Yes. Oh yeah, you killed 5 people, you boss them around. Well, that was kind of the start of Ben Percy's run for the book. Which, in my opinion, was better than the run that succeeded it, and Glass. That's just my opinion. Nothing against the characters introduced in the book. I love the characters. Like, the only character really made no sense being it was Daja. Because she's like a 1,000-year-old teenager. Yeah. So, what characters? Like, basically, these are a bunch of fighters. Now, we are introduced here to Conor Hawk, which is the first proper appearance of him ever in a comic book. Yes, post-Flashpoint. Though he is younger in here. We also introduced to Flatline. Yes, that's her name. Who is kind of a potential love interest for Damian, the way she's written here. Yes. Yep. Now, the whole thing with League of Lazarus is basically introducing the 2-part backdoor palette. Here's a 2-page spread of Damian's new costume, which has sort of the feeling to it of basically, it reminds me of, I would probably say one of his Robin costumes. I would say his pose reminds me a lot of basically Tim Drake. It's almost like the artist really wanted to draw Tim Drake as Robin, but basically forced to do Damian because basically he's the current Robin. So basically he draws him like basically one of one of Tim Samuels' poses on one of his covers. So, okay, that's perfectly fine. I got no problem with that at all. So, here you go. Conor Hawk. Though he's shorter than he was in pre-Flashpoint, they do confirm he is the son of Green Arrow, which also makes him the nephew of Emiko Queen, Red Arrow. Let me use some characters on. This is the cover of the very... Now, this is also the cover of the trade here. You're probably thinking, who are these characters in the cover? Well, we have Lady Shiva, who is a Chuck Dixon character, who actually made her first appearance in pages of Batwing. I think prior to this, she was actually featured in Titans United. We also have Nite-Wing, a self-styled vigilante who was inspired by Dick Grayson. I'm like, okay, interesting. We also have King Snake in here, who is a character that Chuck Dixon created, who he also killed off during 20% Run for Robin. And here's a strange fun fact about King Snake. Like, guess who his son is? And he's a character Chuck Dixon created. He's a lot more famous than King Snake. King Snake's son is Bane. Yes, the monster Bane that Chuck Dixon created back in 1993. That is his son. That is not a joke. That is seriously true. Yep. We also have in here various other characters for this book. Yes. Now, in the case of Lady Fick and Nite-Wing, they made the first appearances in the pages of the Nite-Wing ongoing book. Yep. Now, we also have Ravager, who appears as pretty much a regular character in the book. There is a few original characters appearing here. There's one called Mother Soul. She's the host of the tournament. Yeah, her thing is not explained until later on in the storyline. Yes. We also have the Batman in Japan making his return here. He's a Grant Morrison character. Yep, he is. He made his first post-Flash appearance in pages of Batwoman. Well, kind of anyways. Mostly he just appeared in like a few issues of Batman Incorporated, one issue of Batman Eternal, like a couple issues of New Superman, and recently he's been a semi-recurring character in the pages of Robin. Yep. We also have in here Blue Swan. Well, Black Swan, mind you. And you might be thinking, okay, is she like a character who was introduced like from pre-Flashpoint? No, she's an original character. Yep. Blue Strike is also a character who is introduced in this book. There's Brulee. Brulee is a character who's a Chuck Dixon character, believe it or not. Yes. He first appeared in issue 22 of Nite-Wing. So yes, it seems as though like, okay, let's just bring in a bunch of characters Chuck Dixon created. But here's the thing. This guy first showed up in pages of Blue Beetle. Yes, he's brought up by Tony Bedard. Yes, seriously. There was also Constant Draken, a Green Arrow villain. And you're thinking, did Chuck Dixon create this guy? Nope, this was Judd Winick. Yeah, Judd Winick created him. His last appearance was in the pages of, get this, Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. Yep. There is Fire Fate, who original character. We also have Raptor. Yes, Raptor is back in this book. Yes, and he is not a character created by Chuck Dixon. He actually is a character created by Tim Seeley. Yeah. We also have other characters. We also have Respawn, who appears in this book. Respawn is a character they were not exploring until actually just recently of what the heck the guy is. I mean, he looks like the original Ravager just by the design-wise. There's also Shooter Jackson, original character. Silver Monkey, another Chuck Dixon character, who appeared in the Comics 565 as part of the War Dragon storyline. Yep. This book here, first appearance of him. Yep. Tungungu is a creation of... You're probably a little surprised about this. He's a creation of Jeff Johns. Yes, so we have so far in here about 3 characters appear in this storyline who are not creations of Chuck Dixon. Nope. This guy first appeared back in the Titans annual release back in 2000. Yeah, seriously, he was a villain. His other creators are Ben Rabb and Justino. They throw in here Tigress, who first appeared in pages of Flash. Now, she is a legacy character. Her father is frickin' Sportsmaster. No, that's not a joke. Yep. And the last one introduced in here, well, this is issue 2, is XXL. A 10-year-old. Yep. And the whole thing with this book is that we have these characters constantly fighting each other. Conor Hawk and Damian do not like each other. It has pretty much nothing to do with the fact that their fathers are Batman and Green Arrow, and Green Arrow is constantly compared to Batman to being sort of a Batman ripoff, just basically with arrows. I don't know if that played into the rivalry they have in this book, and that's why Conor Hawk pretty much appears in this book regularly. Then he appears, well, my guess is the reason why Joshua Williamson had appeared in this book, and instead of, appearing in pages of a book like Green Arrow, because there is no Green Arrow book published right now. Hasn't been a Green Arrow book published in 3 years because DC canned the book at 50 issues. Yep. Now, at the end of the first issue of this book, we have Damian supposedly dying. And it turns out he can't actually die at this island. Nope. And about halfway through these issues in here, he abruptly leaves the island due to... And of course, he's rescued by Goliath. Yes, Goliath. Who has actually not been seen since, I think, like the Ben Percy issues of Teen Titans, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I was actually quite surprised to see that. They brought in Goliath. Like, I guess the reason why Joshua Williamson basically brought him in because he's Damian's pet. So, what do you expect? Yeah, and he made his last known appearance at the end of Ben Percy's run for Teen Titans. That was his last ever appearance to date. He was the character specifically created for the Robinson Batman series, and he comes back for that. And by the way, that issue was released in 2018, I think it was. Yeah, and I was wondering, like, where the heck did he go? Let's see. Let's see here. Yeah, that was his last appearance, was issue 19. They were released the same month as Nite-Wing, issue 42. This, of course, is the recent book. Yes. But after that was back in 2018. It wasn't until just recently, with issue 4 of this current volume, they finally bring back Goliath. Yes. They bring him back, reunited him with his grandfather, Ra's al Ghul, and he goes reunite with the Batman family, who is pretty much all the regulars at this point. They do mention Cassandra Cain here, but she's not here. Just basically Nite-Wing, Red Hood, Stephanie Brown, and Tim Drake, who basically is operating as Red Robin at this point. And of course, they were told about Damian because of Ravager. And of course, Damian does ask Jason Todd about his connection to Ravager. Well, probably he does bring up the fact that Jason Todd has actually slept with her before. Yes, he has. Yep, they confirmed that in one of the issues of Red Hood and the Outlaws that she's had sex with Red Hood. Well, at least it's implied anyways, but never officially confirmed. Nope, never officially confirmed, but just implied. And he goes back to Island, re-enters the tournament, and things goes forward from there. And there's stuff with a book, and we're basically only halfway through the storyline. It is something that they call this book the Lazarus Tournament, and yet they only have the first 6 issues of this 12-issue story arc. Yeah, this book is awesome. I love it. I give this book a 10 out of 10. I mean, it's great, though, and this is my opinion. It's like Williamson must have noticed, hey, we have these whole bunch of Chuck Dixon characters. He must love Chuck Dixon. So, he's like, okay, let's write a Robin book, but basically write a Damian-style Robin book with whole fighting stuff. Like, okay, interesting. Excuse me. when I get a chance to index, I'm bringing this book with me because I'm like, wow, you basically brought in a boatload of Chuck Dixon characters in this book. Yeah, like I would say a lot of the characters who appear in this book are creation of Chuck Dixon. The only characters you could say who appear in this book who are reintroduced in this book who are not creation of Chuck Dixon, of course, are Damien, obviously. Conor Hawk, he was the first regular writer for Chuck Dixon. Chuck Dixon was the first person to regularly write Conor Hawk when he was Green Arrow. Started issue 102. Yep. But yeah, great book. And I can't wait to get my hands on the very next trade whenever it does come out. Yep. And oddly enough, this is probably, get this, one of like 2 bad books that has got nothing to do with Fear State. Yeah, that's the weird thing about this book. When this book was released, this book along with, I think it was like one other book released at this point in time, where it had nothing to do with Fear State. It didn't tie into it at all. I mean, heck, Damien was not even involved with this event. And same thing with the book Joker. Yeah, same thing with this one. Yes, now you're probably thinking, why wasn't basically... Now Robin, because it makes sense, because he participated in a tournament this period of time. Joker, because he was out of the country. So, at least these two had reasons to not tie into this event. Yeah. And plus, also, these 2 series had just started by the time this event started up. But yet, that didn't stop Harley Quinn from tying into this event. Oh, no, that didn't stop it at all. Nope, not really. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this particular review. Stay tuned for my next review, which is going to be, well, another comic corner. And then I'm going to do a review of Return of a Manga. Yes, a manga that came back first time in a year. What books to talk about for digital-wise, because I do digital trades, you'll find in the next video. But they are, in fact, 2 Marvel trades. Okay, next video. Bye.